This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1175, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang. And joining me from the Jersey Shore, it's Polly D. I'm sorry, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello.
And from Nashville, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
What's happening?
I mean, this is like vacation time because Emily's on vacation right now. She's at another lake house with college friends.
Okay.
Derek
a sequel to her last horror movie premise.
Correct. Derek just got back from Panama City with his family. I want to hear about that. And Jesse's recording this week from the Jersey Shore. Look at his dedication, everybody. But happy summer vacations, y'all.
Man, it's lit.
So Panama City, Derek? This is a Florida vacation. You know, Florida has a lot of nice areas. You know, and I'm sure Panama. I've never been to Panama City. I'm sure it's lovely. But why? You know, you have friends in Orlando, and there's amusement parks. You got Miami. You got the Keys. You got the Emerald Coast. You got I was in Fort Lauderdale not that long ago for a night, and I was impressed with that. And watching this hockey, I've been watching the Stanley Cup, and Fort Lauderdale looks like it's got a lot going on. Why Panama City? I'm just curious.
You know what? I'm asking myself the same question right now.
Even Daytona. Like if I were to rank beaches, I don't even know it'd be in my top 10 of Florida beaches.
Nope. You got it wrong.
So that's go ahead. Yeah, I was gonna say the beach is crazy.
Right.
Like no lie, I never seen water that clear.
Yeah.
At a beach, like it was like ridiculously clear, and the sand looked like sugar. Like literally, it looked like sugar. So I'm like, man, this beach is crazy. But the makeup of the city is different. It is
You're like good different, or like, that guy's different.
I saw a lot of it felt like Talladega Nights on the beach. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like it felt like Talladega Nights.
I told Derek on his way back that Floridians call Panama City the Redneck Riviera because that it's basically culturally it's Southern Alabama up there. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's weird because the beaches destined to Panama City are some of the most gorgeous, pristine, you jaw-dropping beauty, water clarity, white sand, just incredible. Like the most beautiful Caribbean photo you've ever seen slapped into a Bass Pro Shop. I mean, it's like the cultural fit is really funny. So it's like Daytona Beach though. Daytona Beach is interesting because it's also like touristy, trashy, older, that kind of thing. But the beach is like, the racing started in Daytona because they would race on the beach because the beach is so flat and packed, and they would have drag races on the beach. That's how racing started there. So like the beach is very different. It's Atlantic water versus Gulf Coast water and all that stuff. But the culture of Daytona Beach and the culture of Panama City are very similar. It's very much redneck, very much bike week type people.
I always get like, it gets more lakey when there's a high denim ratio by the water. Yeah. You know what I mean? When people are wearing jeans on the beach or straight up like, when I see that's when like, okay, this is a different kind of beach here. Like when the more denim you see in the sand, that's when you're like, okay, or socks. It's like, okay, I know what kind of beach we're at.
You know, we have a law that says that the American flag is only supposed to be used as a flag. Like that's literally a law. Like, and I'm like, if the Constitution was actually like, people were enforcing that law, no one would be in Panama. Like literally, I haven't seen so many like small American flag bikinis on large people in my life. Like it was just like, it was very like American flag hat for the guy with a beer on the side of it. And it says like, get her done on the back. You know what I mean? Like it was very like, when I get there, like me and the fam was like, so me and my wife are foodies. So the first thing I'm doing is going on Yelp, and it's like Chili's has like a 4-star.
Chili's,
so I'm like, man, all right. But I did find a dope dive bar that was cool. But man, it all the brunch spots felt like Waffle House. Like whether you were like at Waffle House or not, it felt like Waffle House.
So the other indicator that, and again, this, I'm not saying these are a red flag, because this is God's country here, right? I mean, this is the heart of America. So I'm not disparaging it. Okay?
Not at all.
I'm just saying. Right. I'm just saying, you're not in like South Beach, right? The other, in addition to the American flag stuff that did them in the sand, the other thing is when you're driving around and there's a lot of memorials to people who passed away on the back windshields of cars. And it's like Rick. And it's like, 1964 to 2012. Like Rick died 15 years ago at this point, and we're still paying tribute on the back windshield. Like the more tributes you see just to random people, and you're driving around, what happened to Rick? Like, I don't know, but his family still has feelings for him because they're driving around with memorials on the back.
I get the memorials where it's like the years are like, oh man, that was a kid, or maybe college kid or something like that. But Rick lived a full life. That was grandpa. He just died when he was supposed to. He was 73 years old. Why are we putting stickers on the car? And
again, when the end date on the sticker is like 2023 or 2022, 2024, it's like, I get it. This was, this is how they're dealing with it. It's like, this is 2015, guys. I think we got to go. I think he's beyond the sticker. I think
they've gotten a new car in the last 12 years. You know what I mean? So it's like
that's what I'm saying.
They put new stickers.
Someone in the family is making the stickers and making sure. Oh, I heard you got a new car. We got the new
Here's your Rick
stickers
sticker.
In, so yeah. But it seems like in a certain part of the country, that's what you do, is you memorialize a family member on a
But see,
vehicle.
you're talking stereotypes about Panama City where you've never been, but you're at the Jersey Shore by choice right now. That's the land of stereotypes. Like what? I mean, why do you go to the Jersey Shore of all places?
Because my wife's family has been coming here, for generations, literally the same group of houses they rent out once a year since they've been, not only since I've been dating my wife, but they've been doing it for generations, way before the TV show.
When you get ready to go, like the week before, do you frost your tips just so you can fit in better when you're there?
I have a whole routine. I have a special drawer that's like a lot of affliction gear. Exactly. I only wear to watch UFC fights and go to the Jersey Shore. I get that out. I hit the gym pretty hard.
3 spray tans.
I take some illegal substances to get a little extra,
pump up.
That's what they do here. You got to bulk up. No, I listen, I've been coming here, as podcast listeners know, for many, many years, like 20 years now. I feel like I know my way around town. During the height of the Jersey Shore, like TV show, it was everywhere. Like, as featured on Jersey Shore. Now you have like one garage door that's painted like the Italian flag that was on the show. And it's sort of like, it's more of remember when,
Yeah.
Personally, guys, I miss the heyday. It's not the same up here since the show, isn't. But
I thought they brought the show back, and they went back, like had a family reunion show at the Jersey Shore.
It's not the same. Listen.
It didn't hit the same, huh?
It was kind of sad. I mean, like half our, I've come in and out of rehab. There's been prison time involved with them. Yeah. It's
shoot.
Some of them
jail time with the Jersey Shore.
The main dude. What's his name? The situation. Went to jail for tax fraud.
He had a tax situation. Yeah. And then, you got them.
Fraud.
It's not the same. It's not as fun as it was. Like once like rehab and jail come along, it's not as fun. You know what I mean? Like but we're having a great time.
Is there like a walking tour? Like I know when you go to New York, you can like do the Sex and the City walking tour or whatever. They take you to different places from the show. Is there a Jersey Shore walking tour where you can go hit all the tanning salon, the laundry place, the club, all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I run it when I'm in town. It runs 1 week. That walking tour runs 1 week every summer. I'm pretty busy actually. So after this, we're gonna hit the spot where Snooki both threw up and got arrested. So pretty excited about that. We got a big afternoon. I've charged quite a bit for this. And that's
how do you attract business? How do you stand on the side of the road twirling a sign? Do you have like the inflatable guy with the crazy arms? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, mostly I just stand on the street corner in a tank top, fist pumping with EDM going, and people just come. They're like, they know what that means. It's line up right behind me. We're going to get going in about 10 minutes here. Give me your money. We're going to do the tour. So pretty effective still after all these years.
There you go. Well, this is going to be an unusual show, everybody. Just like last episode was an unusual episode the other way. So the last episode, if you listen to it, it was an hour and 45 minutes long. An hour of that was a unedited conversation with Carl Lentz that a lot of people are still digesting and talking about and sending us unsolicited feedback on. Thank you very much, everybody. Both good and bad. Both good and bad. No, it's something to chew on. If you haven't listened to that, go listen to it. But later we talked to Sheppard. You know them. They had a massive, enormous hit several years ago called Geronimo. They have a brand new album coming out today. And guess where they're debuting it? Here on the Relevant Podcast. You don't want to miss that. But normally on this show, this episode each week, we have Relevant Buzz and your feedback and everything. Emily is on vacation, and that's her segment. And literally 10 minutes before the show, I realized that Emily is not on the show, and we do not have that segment. So we are going to, instead of Relevant Buzz in the next segment, we're going to do a little get to know yous with the guys. We're going to do some table topics. And at the end of the show, you got to stay tuned because the feedback is nuts. On this show last week, Derek's house almost had been burned down by his sons. And our question of the week was, tell us a time from your childhood that mom and dad weren't around and you did something you shouldn't have done and it almost went really bad, but you didn't get caught. A lot of you have had those experiences. Maybe that's why you listen to this show, because you identify with us in that way. But anyway, stay tuned for that. It's going to be a fun one.
I'm excited.
This is a leisurely vacation type of episode.
It's a vacation episode.
You can get buzzed any week. I love Emily. I love what she brings to the table. Because without saying, I love being in the news pop culture business. Sometimes you need a break from the buzz.
This is a summer vacation
the buzz
episode.
is going to happen. Yeah. You got to let your hair down here.
We had enough to chew on in the last episode. This episode, we're just coming up for air. We're going to hang out, and then
this is the little dessert after you eat that. I'm going to be sure.
The heavy meal.
A big plate of meatballs. Okay, I said a big plate of meatballs. You got to take it down a notch.
All right, stay tuned. Up next, it'll be table topics. You're listening to Toro y Moi. The song is Tuesday. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by World Vision. We all subscribe to a lot of services that make our lives easier and more entertaining. But as followers of Jesus, we should want to seek first the kingdom of God in all areas of life, including our spending. That's why I'm so excited about a new kind of subscription through World Vision. Not one for myself, but for others. It's called Believers for World Change. And when you sign up, you're joining a community of change makers working to help end extreme poverty around the world and here at home. World Vision is a Christian humanitarian organization that works with children, families, and communities to reach their God-given potential, focusing on things like gender equality, spiritual nurture, and access to clean water, education, job training, and healthcare, so the entire picture of poverty can be addressed. Let's subscribe to something new together. Subscribe to World Change today at worldvision.org. Again, that's worldvision.org.
It's Table Topics. Time.
All right, like I said, I just have a big old stack of cards in front of me, and we are going to randomly ask some questions, stir it up. Let's get into it. Here we go. Some of these are serious. Some of these are not at all. These are all serious. Okay, here we go. We're just going to get into it. We're going to get real. This is therapy. All right, guys. What parts of you, we'll start with you, Derek. What parts of you fight with each other? I told you.
Wow.
Like that's one of the lighter ones here at the top of this.
It's the parts that fight with me with each other are the desire to look like the Hulk and a donut. Like that's the two parts. That I love donuts, and I love the idea of looking like I should be a superhero, but I don't like the work that goes into it, and usually the donut wins. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Jesse, what about you?
The parts of me that fight with themselves, the part that knows I shouldn't spend so much time just like doom scrolling and looking at funny stuff on the internet and be more present, and like be in like, oh, I should, you read about these people. It's like, oh, I switched to the flip phone. I mean, there's all these think pieces, I switched to the flip phone and it changed my life. I'm just ever present. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's really fun just to scroll and laugh at memes. Like, I really like it. And I'm sorry. Like, I know, but I constantly think about that.
It gives you dopamine. That's literally what your body chemistry craves, is like the hit of dopamine that it gives you.
Give me the dope.
Yeah, exactly. You know what doesn't give me dopamine is when I'm waiting in line at the grocery store just staring off into the distance. Like, that's not doing anything for me either, okay? Like, you can be all, sorry, like wellness gurus, you can be all self-righteous about the smartphone. If I'm sitting there and there's 5 people in front of me, I'd much rather look at funny memes than just stare off at a rack of candy bars. It's, that you can hear the struggle,
Yeah, for sure.
What's the funniest thing your inner child wants, Derek? Your inner child. What's the funniest thing it wants? See, for me, up until a few years ago, it would have been, I still never let go of the dream of I want to go to space camp. And then as an adult, I went to space camp.
Right, then you went to space camp.
Right. And Legos, things like that. Like my inner child wants it, but I give that to my inner child. So like,
Yeah. I think the funniest thing, the thing my inner child still wants is to be on Double Dare. Y'all remember that show?
Yeah. It was filmed here in Orlando.
Yeah, bro. That's what my inner child wants. My inner child still wants to be on Double Dare and compete for those British Knights. Like, I want to compete for those British Knights.
Dude, I forgot about the BKs.
The light up BKs, bro.
Dude, every commercial break was all about the BKs. Like,
yes, sir, bro. That's it.
Jesse, what about you?
This is easy. Like, I think about this all the time. Like, I was thinking about it the other day. In college, we had to either for a communications degree, which I know it's shocking. I actually have an education in this, considering most of my professional life is comprised of saying ridiculous things on a podcast. But you had to either take a foreign language to graduate or a drama course, okay? Like a theater course. And I wasn't going to take, there's no way I'm taking a foreign language. Like, that's just like, I'm going to take the easiest thing, right? And
wait. You were a BS? Because when we were picking majors, I remember BA and BS. The only real difference between the two, one required 2 semesters of a language and one type of degree did not. I chose the type of degree that did not require language for that exact reason. But you chose the language one, but you chose an alternate to language.
They said drama? If you don't take the language, you have to take like a theater class, and that just seemed like, well, in college, the decision was always, what is the easiest? What is going to require the least out of me? Right. And this, I know this is going to make a lot of theater people angry, and I don't really care. I don't do plays. I don't do musicals. I don't watch them. I have no interest in attending one. Like, I went to a movie once. Yeah, I remember. I can't remember what movie it was. I went one time, and in the first scene, I was like, "Wait, is this a musical? Why are they singing?" I left. Like, I don't do it. Okay, that is not me.
That happened to me in Dreamgirls. I was in New York with a friend, and we were just a random movie. I had heard about Dreamgirls, so we went and saw Dreamgirls and sat down. Within 2 minutes, realized they're singing at me the entire time. We left. It was like, I'm not into this.
But everyone in the class had taken it because they had an interest in theater, and I could not muster the energy or effort to, want to take it seriously. And I ruined every scene I was in intentionally for my own amusement. Like I was the worst one in the class, but I wasn't like just checked out. I was just messing with everyone all the time, and I just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, or like when we went to space camp. That's what my inner child wants, is to act like that in so many scenarios as an adult where I just can't anymore. But I just want to disrupt scenarios and act inappropriate. That's what my inner child has always wanted me to do. And I can't indulge it like I used to. There's too many responsibilities.
Did you get in trouble in class for like being a class clown, talking?
That's what I'm saying. I miss that. I miss being, I miss disrupting situations, even if I was the only one who got an amusement out of it. It's hard to do. It's funny, you're precocious up into a certain age, and then you're just problematic if you're late into your adulthood, just making things inappropriate.
Every Monday morning, and the teachers in high school would sit me at the front of the class, thinking that if my only audience was the teacher, I wouldn't talk. I figured out, like on Monday mornings, I would basically reenact the previous weekend's SNL. Like I was a class clown all the time, all during elementary school. I would get like straight A's. Every report card, the teacher would write, Cameron's a great student. He does his classwork well, but he talks too much. Like, can you please talk to him about talk?
Dang, that was me too.
For real?
Yeah.
And now we're all
talking. That was the one.
That's the one. That's so funny.
Now, literally, our livelihoods are based on our abilities to talk and say things to keep the class entertained.
Take that, Miss Brinkley.
Exactly, Mr. Herzog. Anyway, all right. Let's see. When you guys were young, what did you want to be when you grew up? Derek, we'll start with you.
I want to be a scientist.
Really?
I did.
What kind in particular? Any like
one that blew up stuff in labs. Like like
a chemist.
In my mind, like that was like Back to the Future, like Doc. That's what I want to be, something like that, or do like experiments, create time travel, and then I realized like it's nothing like that, and it's a whole lot of math, and I was like, you know what, this sucks. I'm gonna be a rapper.
Has anybody ever explained why a 60-year-old retired scientist hung out with a high school boy who was not scientifically, like, he wasn't like a science student. He was just like a precocious kid. Like, why were they friends?
It's probably marijuana.
Yeah.
They probably both smoke weed.
Is that really a theory?
No, I just made it up.
I'm just like, how did that friendship form? Like, what is that?
They was stoner buddies.
Yeah.
Marty McFly was his
plug. That's interesting.
Marty McFly was his plug, bro.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
It's the first Breaking Bad, bro. It's the first Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it was like a Walt and Jesse type of relationship. It really was. Like, except instead of dedicating their time to sophisticated ways to produce meth, they were producing time travel. But I do like watching it as through the lens of, this is early Walt and Jesse here.
That's what it is.
It is. That's interesting. Jesse, what about you? What did you want to be when you grew up?
I never had any professional aspirations. I remember watching a show one time and somebody said he was independently wealthy. And I was like, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Like, I mean, what do you do independently wealthy? And like, and that's just the end of the answer. I like literally no profession. Like, I never thought about what I wanted to do for an income. I thought how great it would be not to have to do that. So I'm not saying I literally never like, what was like when Cameron, another ORU story, when we first went to college, my first major was what they called exploratory. And that meant like you could, if you didn't know what you wanted to do, you can choose exploratory, and they would just knock out all of the classes that you would get credits. The general ed stuff. I stayed exploratory to the last possible minute. And when I told people, I told them I was going to be an explorer, and that's what I thought the degree was, like a professional explorer. And I was like, they got an exploratory program here. It's awesome. I'm going to be. No, I waited till the last possible minute to even think about that.
That's really funny. All right, what do you guys most enjoy doing by yourselves? Derek, start with you.
That's a good question. What do I most enjoy doing by myself? Watching anime. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I like it because, one, my wife is always, I love my wife, so I hope she don't listen to this, but she's going to ask a lot of questions, and she's going to come in the middle of it and ask questions about the backstory. And these animes are like 360 episodes. So I got to unpack this whole guy's life journey in the middle of that. So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to watch this one alone. Like, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jesse?
Scrolling my phone, looking at funny memes. If I'm honest, I get that that's not the cool right answer, but I do like doing that by myself. I like just not thinking, but I ride my bike. If my family's out of town, I like going on like long bike rides. I really enjoy that.
Well, next time you're in Florida, you can go with my dad. My dad has really gotten into it. Like, really.
So he's got into like cycling, like
he just saw them for Father's Day the other day, and he's like, "Did you hear about my new bike?" And he's telling me all about it. It's like a $9,000 bicycle. Yeah. And I'm like, he's like, the seats go up and down with a button. And I was like, why do you need your seat to go up and down? And he's like, well, because when you're going distance, you want to raise your seat up so you're more aerodynamic. Yeah. But then when you come to stop, you need your legs to be able to touch the ground so you can lower your seat with the push of a button. I'm like, okay, just get a car at this point. This is crazy.
I have a reasonably nice bike, but I don't have like one that has all like the tech. I'm a very analog type of person. Like I'd rather, to your point, like at some point, it's the whole point of riding the bike is to get exercise and like the physical resistance, not to make it easier. Here, I'm glad we're talking about this, and I don't mean to derail. I was driving the other day, and there's like on the bike lane, I see like a flag going up, and I look down, and it's the recumbent bike. Okay, have you guys seen the recumbent bikes?
No, what are those?
Okay, so you lay basically on. It's like, okay, imagine an Adirondack chair. Okay, you guys know Adirondack chair, right?
Yeah.
That's
he was
really
just in Panama
back.
City. He knows them well.
I've seen a few of them.
That's the official chair of
I've seen plenty of those.
They don't have, the people in offices use Adirondack chairs in Panama City. So imagine like the shape or like the posture of an Adirondack chair, but you're about 4 inches off the ground. Okay. And there's two big wheels on the side of said Adirondack chair. And then like one wheel out in the middle. It's like a trike situation. Okay. And you pedal with your legs like out in a leisurely position.
What is the name of this bike? I can't even imagine.
Okay. Google real quick. Recumbent bike. Okay.
Recumbent.
Yeah. And I see them around town quite a bit. Okay. But they're so low to the ground that they're dangerous.
Bruh.
Like you see, Cameron, are you guys both looking at recumbent bikes now?
Yeah.
Pictures?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They're so low to the ground, right? And that you have to have like this big flag so that cars can see. Your total body is like, 18 inches off the ground when you're. And I see more and more recumbent bikes out in the wild.
Yeah, my neighbor has one.
This looks like the Little Rascals would have made this. Like that's what it like.
And I've given it a lot of thought. I can't help but think about it. Like, it's one thing to get into cycling. Okay, like it's good exercise. It's fun to ride around the city. At what point are you like, you know what? I'm going recumbent here. Not only do I want the experience of cycling, but I basically want to lay on my back while I do it. Like, it's like, I want to be in a napping posture while I get this exercise.
It's the same people who want to get a motorcycle when they're middle-aged, but they end up getting that like Batman looking tricycle motorcycle thing. You know, it's like, you know, it has the wheel in front, it's got 3 wheels instead of 2. And it's like, just get a motorcycle. Like, what is this? Right. This isn't like, that's how I feel about recumbent bikes. Just get a bike. Like, why are you needing to be all weird?
But the electric bikes are also like, I'm like, that does not do anything that the bike is supposed to do.
Yeah, but
it's like a motorcycle though.
Yeah, I could see that for like commuting, for urban commutes or something like that. If you're going to work, you don't want a car, you want to be low emissions or no emissions, but you don't want a bicycle. I think it's perfect for urban. It doesn't make sense for somebody who's out on a trail or like doing a long distance ride.
Panama City, them joints was
E-bikes.
rocking. Yeah, they was rocking on them electric bikes.
I have a theory about that. Right. I think they're big in Panama City because it's.
I want a shirt that says "big in Panama City." Like that.
I think the reason e-bikes are popular in places like Panama City is because there are weird loopholes in like DUI laws. That's my personal theory. It's like people think they can't get in trouble if they're technically on a bike, even though it's electronic and goes like 35 miles an hour. But I think people just skirt, you know, normal driving laws. Let's just say that with e-bike, you know. But I think people who have their driver's license taken away for a variety of reasons end up in the e-bike world quite a bit. And that's why you see them in places like Panama City. But the recumbent bike, at some point, someone makes the decision. I have $9,000 to invest in this hobby, like your dad. What if your dad didn't buy that bike, but he rolled up on the recumbent? Because plenty of dads do, because I see them all the time. Well, those people are somebody's father's, son's, like, who's rolling up on the recumbent bike and just like, I'm a recumbent bike guy now.
What if he was like, I want to go on a family bike ride, or like, hey, yeah, let's go, you know, whatever. I have this great trail. And then like he rolls up in a recumbent bike. Like, nope, I'm not doing this. Yeah.
I kind of respect it though.
All right. What did you do? Sorry, I misread this. What did you do that drove your parents crazy? What I thought it said was, what did your parents do that drove you crazy? But anyway, what did you do, Derek?
They got really into recumbent bikes.
Everything.
Everything?
I did everything.
Were you a bad kid or a good kid?
You know what? I was not bad. I was mischievous.
Right.
Like I definitely, you know how they say boys test their boundaries. I definitely was a habitual boundary tester. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, how can I get away with this? So, a big thing that was, I mean, obviously being a musician is the music stuff. Like, that used to get on my mom's nerves. But you know, it paid off. So,
there you go. Jesse, what'd you do?
I would frequently, and I would, I wouldn't intentionally try to irritate my parents, like I other adults all the time. But I think it was borrowing a lot of my dad's stuff and using it for things it wasn't intended for. You know what I mean? Like I was always, we were trying to make some contraption on a bike, or hitting like things with golf clubs that weren't, or taping fireworks together, but using, my dad's toolkit. I was never using his things for the intended purposes of those things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, hey, son, how did my fishing pole get, snapped in half? And it was like, oh, well, I was using it for an elaborate prank and had to, cast a fishing line into the neighbor's, roof or whatever. It was always stuff like that,
Yeah. You know what I forgot? My mom would tell you this if she was on here. I used to eat her leftovers all the time. Like, so
dude.
So like, she'd go out to eat, get a steak.
Yeah.
She'd have like the rest of the steak, mashed potatoes, all that stuff left over. And I would just go in there and eat it. I wouldn't ask her anything.
Dude, it is just started in the last few months in my house. But like, I've been doing a thing where like, I'll eat half the Chipotle bowl and I'll put the other half in the fridge. Or I'll get a foot long sub and I'll eat half for lunch and then I'll save the other half. And sure enough, it's gone because I have a growing ninth grader.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was going to eat that Chipotle for dinner. And now he's like, well, I was hungry. It was like, dude, you've had 6 meals today. You didn't need to eat my dinner.
That's why you just got to start getting the gross ingredients. You just have to retrain your taste buds to get something that no one wants for the leftovers.
That's right.
That's the
just
only
really
way
bad
at
orders.
this point.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll run out of time. But there's, like you were talking about mischievous and stuff. That's a perfect segue for our feedback segment coming up. Right. So but we'll put a pin in this there and then pick it back up in feedback. All right. That'll do it for Table Topics. Stay tuned. Up next, Sheppard joins us. You're listening to Benet. The song is Hurt You, Gus. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by The Grace Project, a compelling new novel by author Kyle Bullock. The story uncovers the details of a violent crime tied to a small-town church and the 4 members at the center of it all. Their lives collide as they confront weighty issues like racial equality, political divide, and LGBTQ inclusion through the lens of biblical grace. The Grace Project is perfect for individuals or small groups and is available now on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, or download on Audible. Our guest today is Sheppard. They're an indie pop trio from Australia who you probably know from their massive song, Geronimo, which actually is turning 10 this year. Today, they're releasing their next album, Zora. So we sat down with them to hear more about the music and why they're determined to inspire their fans to be more joyful. Here's Emily's conversation with Sheppard.
So say Geronimo, say Geronimo, say Geronimo, say Geronimo, say Geronimo, say Geronimo, say Geronimo.
It's been 10 years since you've released Bombs Away, which had your breakout hit Geronimo on it. Does it feel like it's been 10 years?
Yes and no. Like 10 years has gone by in a blink of an eye, but also at the same time, I'm like, wait, there are kids coming up to us at shows and they're like, oh, I was in like primary school and this came out, and now they're like 18, they're adults. I'm like, what? It just, how? How old am I?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to grasp that it's been a decade. But
it feels like we haven't aged, although we may look like we've aged.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing about aging, is you always feel young at heart. But yeah, we feel really honored that people are still connecting to that album and the song Geronimo. Like, people still know it, and we've just moved to the States, and every time we mention that we sing Geronimo, they're like, no way, can't believe it. So yeah, we owe a lot to that song and that album.
Where you are is not too far away. Hey, ride a tidal wave, run uphill both ways.
How much of your life has changed since you released that album?
I think we've all very much matured, both personally and as a family, and then as a band. I feel like we've dealt with a lot, and a lot has changed in our lives. We're all married now. We've been through. Since the last album, we've all gotten married, and we've all dealt with some pretty extreme challenges. And I think that kind of comes through in the music. We're using music a little bit more as our own outlet for therapy, and it just feels a lot more authentic and real what we're sort of singing about. And musically, we're constantly trying to experiment and try and find new sounds and new ways of doing things. And there are tracks on the album that fans will be like, oh, this is Sheppard doing their thing at their finest. And then there are people that are going to be like, this is a Sheppard song? We kind of wanted to balance those two, where it's it still feels experimental and new, but there's always that nice warm Sheppardy hug of this anthemic, big euphoric sound, which we really enjoy making. So it's that beautiful balance between the two that we've tried to straddle.
When did you begin working on your upcoming album?
It was pretty much almost immediately after we released Kaleidoscope Eyes, our previous album. We did a launch show in Brisbane, and it was very, very COVID restricted gig. So like nobody could get up and dance. Everyone had to be seated, and we streamed it, like filmed the entire thing, put it out on YouTube for the entire planet to see. And then that was the end of that album cycle essentially because of COVID. So we had the time, we got straight to work. We started writing album number 4, Zora. And it was all very born out of frustrations of how, closed off the world was and how dark times felt. And, we were sort of like trying to bring hope to ourselves of like, this is going to be over soon. Like the sun's coming, the dawn's coming to light up the darkness, and we can make it if we just hang on. And that was kind of what the album became about, which was kind of cool.
I love that it's full of hope. Why is that a message that you think we need to hear today?
Well, I think we're not the only ones who went through a dark time over the last couple of years. And even now, people are still feeling the effects of the pandemic, and everything can feel really heavy. So in our show, we love to bring joy to people in our music as well. And we just want to bring, like happiness and unity, and just take a weight off of our listeners' shoulders. And I feel like that's what the world needs right now. So we try to bring that in Zora.
To take the weight off of your shoulders.
I don't always hear artists talk about intentionally bringing joy into their music. So I love that that's something you're focused on. Is that something that you've always tried to do, or was that just for this project?
Yeah, that's something we've always tried to do. We love to bring a sense of joy and euphoria and like community and togetherness to our shows. We want people to feel that energy and leave, happier than when they got there. I feel like, there's plenty of artists that do the sad boy stuff, and it's kind of like our jam is to like, make ourselves feel better with music in a different way, I guess. Trying to bring that like positive vibe to it. Like the hopefulness, I think, is the important. We don't want to just be like, hey guys, everything's fine. Don't be sad. It's okay. It's okay to be sad, but be hopeful that it's not going to be forever. It's kind of that vibe where Amy kind of touched on it, where the darkness can get overwhelming for a lot of people, and it feels like there's no end to it. But if you can hold on, and if you've got the resilience, like it's even on my wristband, it says, although it's dark now, we're going to make it to sunrise. That's what my pink wristband says. It's a lyric from Dance on the Sun. I think that's kind of what we want to instill with our audience, our listeners this time around.
Where would you say you find hope for yourselves?
Well, in music and also in each other. Like one of us is having a bad day, we can lift each other up. We've got a really strong family unit, so I think that helps. But also, we look to our grandma, her name is Zora. And we named the album after her because she's had a really, really tough life. She had to flee her home country, which was Yugoslavia at the time, now Croatia. And she essentially ended up in a really small mining town in Australia, couldn't speak English, had to work 2 jobs at 17 and never saw her family again. She ended up meeting our grandfather, who died at, when she was in her 40s, leaving her with 7 kids. So she's been through some things that you just can't even imagine going through, and still she is the happiest person we know, and she loves life, she loves people. She's 86 and we were just in Australia with her, and she really wants to get on the roller coasters with us, and she'll do it if she can. And we draw a lot of inspiration from her.
I don't think my grandparents would get near a roller coaster, so I love that yours is like on the ride with you.
Yeah. I don't know many people. And she'll fight. If she's at a show, she'll fight through the mosh and be like, I'm their grandmother, and literally get front and center. And everyone's like, oh my God, must be her grandmother, because no other 86-year-old woman would fight through a crowd to be front and center.
Yeah, we actually posted a video of her on a roller coaster last September. So she was 86 or 85 at the time, and we were so worried about her neck on this roller coaster.
I was behind her, holding her head in place, just making sure that
which was pretty much just leaning into me like this.
She insisted.
Has she heard the album yet?
We've played her some of the key tracks. I mean, there was a nice surprise at the very end of the album. There's a little Easter egg where a voicemail that she left sort of closes out the album. And she didn't know that was coming until we played it to her, and she just burst into tears. And our mum as well. Like every time she hears that, she just can't help it but
Cry.
Full.
So our album will make you cry as well.
Tap on tears. But yeah, she's heard the majority of it. I don't think she's heard it from start to finish. But we've given her like the full, first reveal of the cover and the booklet inside, which is all about her. And she can't believe it. I don't think she hadn't quite understood the gravity of it at first. She's like, "Oh, you've written like a song about me." No. This is like a whole album with your name on it, and it's dedicated to you. And she just, I think, slowly started to realize it. And it just feels like a really nice way to leave a legacy for her, and like everything that she's about, all the positivity in the face of, some of life's biggest challenges. It feels like a legacy coming full circle for her, which is really cool.
That was Sheppard. Make sure to check out their brand new album, Zora, which is out today. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback. You don't want to miss this one. You're listening to Edgar Homeros. The song is Upset. Well, today's episode is brought to you in part by American Prophet. What would God say through a prophet today? In the speculative new fiction book, American Prophet, Peter has dreams of major events that keep coming true. Heralded as a modern-day prophet, he also attracts conspiracy theories and violent threats. Forced to the open road, Peter strives to remain true to his calling as he drives deep into the heart of a divided nation. Download your copy of American Prophet today. Okay, it's time for your feedback. Like I mentioned earlier, last week, Derek was a couple minutes late to the show because he was getting alerts from his home security that his house was on fire, and he had to run upstairs to see what was going on. His son was microwaving, what was it, a burrito? No, fish sticks.
No, fish sticks.
Yeah.
He nuked them. They were no longer fish sticks. They were Legos. So that was just...
like Ryan, like on The Office, Ryan left his...
Yeah, the cheesy pita.
The cheesy pita in the microwave too long. Anyway, we asked you guys a time in your childhood that you almost got hurt while playing or doing something you weren't supposed to do, but maybe your parents never found out. You hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast, and you replied on when we post this on Instagram stories as well. Here's a few of our favorites. You guys got into a lot of trouble as a kid. These are hilarious.
Man, so my dog, Ryan Wright, he said, my cousin and I, of course, tried to dig a hole to China in my backyard.
Right. Who didn't?
We're about, you know what I'm saying? We're about 3 feet down when we hit the sprinkler system and flooded the yard. So it said they managed to cover the hole up with leaves before their parents got home, and they thought it was a regular sprinkler malfunction. There's no way they kept thinking it was a regular sprinkler malfunction.
No, they knew. There's a giant hole.
Well, they would have filled the hole back in, but it's still bubbling up probably. It's still like the water's still coming out. But I don't know. I wouldn't assume that my child was like digging a hole to China and he busted the sprinkler. I would just call the sprinkler guy out. But that does stink because like as a homeowner, immediately when I read that, I thought, man, that's $1,000. That's $1,000 sprinkler company.
That's an expensive situation.
That's a very expensive hole. That's a very expensive hole.
Expensive hole.
If I had $1 for every time I heard that growing up, that's one expensive hole you just dug. Thanks a lot. Okay, Caleb says he found some old fireworks in the garage and decided to set them off in a field. One flew. One flew sideways and hit my friend. It singed some of his hair off and made a little bald spot. I called him Patches for like 2 years. Patches, great name. Great name, Patches. I wish it stuck even longer. I remember I had a similar incident one summer, probably around 4th or 5th grade. We had heard through the grapevine, me and my buddy, that if you dissolve styrofoam into gasoline, it would make like napalm. Like it would, it was like a goo. And so sure enough, we made some, put it on the end of a stick, lit it, and it was really cool. Right.
Yeah.
Listener advised, he's probably inhaling toxic fumes. Right. But either way, we made way more than we could put on the end of sticks, like torches, you know? So we decided to haphazardly dump it in the yard. But some little kids next door were playing, and I was like, dude, we should burn that off so these kids don't get in that goo, and they come home and they got napalm on them and we get in trouble, right? So I was like, let's just burn it off real quick. That was a mistake. And, so my buddy goes out there, we light it, and it causes a pretty big fire, and my buddy's impulse is to go stomp it out. But it sticks to the bottom of his shoe. Started melting his shoe, and he was wearing shorts. And when it finally went out, when we finally were able to get it out, his legs were totally black, and he brushed them off, and it was all his singed leg hair. I mean, he looked like he was, not one bit of hair on any of his legs. He wore pants for like 3 weeks after that so he didn't get called out.
That's amazing.
I had a lot of fire instances, but your yard story is reminding me. I was 8. I was an only child until I was 12. So I got into a lot of trouble. I was bored. And in our backyard, we had Florida backyard, a lot of pine trees. And so I had to rake the pine needles all the time. And we would just leave them in this massive pile behind the shed. It was a huge pile of pine needles. And then once every few weeks, my dad would wheelbarrow them out or whatever. Anyway, so I was back there one day with a magnifying glass and was trying to catch a pine needle, see if I could start a fire with a pine needle, because it's kindling. And I did. And I'm talking, it was like 10 foot by 20 foot, probably 3 feet deep of pine needles. Okay. Like huge. Catches on fire immediately. Huge billowing smoke. I'm freaking out. I'm going to burn everything down. I'm 8. So I'm out there hitting it with a shovel, trying to do whatever I can. My neighbor from across the street saw the billowing smoke, came running over to help out, got a hose. I ran into the house to get my mom. Mom, the yard's on fire. She was on the phone in the kitchen, a corded phone, and she was she told me to leave her alone, go outside, quit yelling, whatever. And she brushed me off. So I ran back out there. I'm trying to save the family house, and my neighbor comes over, I'm screaming. And anyway, after about 10 minutes, we get it out. I'm covered in soot. I'm covered in smoke. I'm black head to toe. And I go into the house, and my mom was still on the phone, and she freaks out. And hangs up and freaks out, runs out there and sees the aftermath of our charred backyard because she wouldn't help me. So I blame it on her.
Here's a threefer.
Clearly.
So when I was 8th grade, my mom used to leave us at house because she had to work. So she would leave at home. I would have to take, I was a latchkey kid, right? So she cooks my mom, one thing about her, she cooked dinner every night. But I had to clean the dishes. And, lard, if you let it set for too long, it becomes back, it gets hard again, right? So my sister was there. She wanted me to help her with with her homework. So I cut the lard on to melt it, to put it back in the Crisco can, we have in the middle of the oven. And then I forgot. And the whole house, the whole kitchen catches on fire. So I pick up the skillet. I was running water. I was going to dump it into the sink. And by the grace of God, because I didn't know anything about it, I was just like, let me dump this into the sink. But by the grace of God, I actually dropped the skillet. Me dropping the skillet actually saved me from being destroyed, because I was going to dump it in all of that water. And I'll never forget.
Fireball.
It's one of the few things. It's one of the times I've God actually intervened, because I remember when I dropped the skillet, I dropped it and it fell towards me, but nothing ever touched me. It went all around my legs. But it burnt the whole kitchen up. We spent Thanksgiving in Hampton Inn. in Columbia, Tennessee.
Well,
Wait, you guys had to move out? Wow.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was when it was bad, bro. Like literally, almost burnt the whole house down. But I went outside. My sister runs down barefooted to the neighbor, and I go around the side of the house and put the fire out with a water hose.
Well, here's one where there was no supernatural intervention. You know those little, like poppers that you throw on the ground and they snap, little snappers. Yep. I'm sure I'm not the only one who attempted this, but we bought some because you could buy them from a gas station. Those in bike riding proximity to us. So me and my buddy bought as many boxes as we could, and we got a coffee filter, and we went into his garage and just
you tried to make a mega popper.
Yes, with a coffee filter.
That's brilliant.
I'm telling you, we were in there for like over an hour, like undoing the little twisty things, and it was like a coffee filter had a big pile. It's just gunpowder, but when you're a kid, you're like, this is just going to be a big ball, and we're going to throw it, and it's going to be awesome. We're sitting there, and I'm telling you, we have a pile of gunpowder and stuff that we did from. I mean. Empty boxes of snappers are everywhere.
God.
So it was, we're just doing one after the other. Well, one of us, drops another little packet in there, and it caused the thing to combust. You ever watch like a war movie and a mortar round goes off and you just hear. Like me and him, like we heard a pop, and both of us, all we heard was ringing, and we're looking, and we're covered in soot, and we're like looking around, like literally, like a concussion, like. Like he's like, it's like we're trying to talk to each other, and all you hear, you know what I mean? Like you can't. It took. I mean, I'm telling you. It was like weeks before my hearing fully
Oh my God! Jesse.
Don't do that. Don't do that, kids.
Did you tell your parents? Did they know?
No.
Never.
No, of course not. No.
Bro, ain't no way.
No.
Mia Robinson had an explosion. She said she made a homemade volcano with baking soda and vinegar in her garage. It overflowed. She goes, okay, it exploded and made a huge mess on the ceiling. To this day, there's a red spot on my parents' garage ceiling, and they don't know why. That's pretty funny. Like, it just goes out.
Yeah. I think there's numerous stains in the house I grew up with in their ceilings that were just,
Man,
there's some good ones in here.
There's some good ones. It's crazy.
Some of these, Tyler, if this is as bad as it got, I'm kind of actually disappointed in Tyler Rodriguez here. I snuck into the community pool at night for a swim. Almost got caught by security, but hid until they left, then swam some more. That's like Tuesday night, man. Like when I was a kid, that's your best story? Like that was that.
Dude,
boring childhood, man. You need to play some gunpowder.
What we would do, we would go to apartment community pools and stuff. They have a hot tub. We would fill the hot tub up with liquid soap and suds stuff, and then turn the hot tub on at like 2 a.m. And then it would just go all night, and it would overflow suds all over the pool area and stuff. It's hilarious. I would do that at the opening of. Or the beginning of like neighborhoods too, where they would have like a sign for the neighborhood and they'd have like a fountain. We would just go in the middle of the night and we'd fill the fountain with, industrial levels of laundry powder. And
oh my
gosh, in the morning, it would shut down the street. Like, because so many suds would flow out into the road. It was great. That's what I did as a teenager.
Did you drive by and see a crime? Did you
100%. An arsonist always comes back to see the aftermath.
That's what I was going to say.
Always. I have pictures of me standing in front of the huge street being shut down by the suds. It was the main street to the high school where this girl that I liked, but she didn't like me went. And so I did that. I don't know, to get her attention. I don't know why I did it, but anyway, took pictures.
The rubber duck bandits.
I remember doing that at ORU in college because they had a lot of fountain stuff, but everything at ORU has some spiritual symbolism. So I remember doing one, and it was like, I was laughing, and suds are going everywhere, and they're like, that's the eternal Holy Spirit water or whatever. Well, it was like meant to be the shape of some tabernacle thing, and I was like, I just put a bunch of detergent in there. That was probably I didn't know it was like a tabernacle thing. I thought this would be kind of funny, but I didn't know it was desecrating something.
Logan,
Sophie King. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say Sophie King has one. It's hilarious. She said, "I was home alone and thought it would be cool to rollerblade down the stairs. Made it halfway before crashing into the wall. Got a few bruises, but nothing serious. And I moved a plant to cover the hole in the drywall, but it didn't work. That wasn't gonna work. It's a little human-sized hole.
Your mom's like, "Why is this random plant in the middle of the stairs off to the left?" Like,
it's a door. You made a door on the steps.
We've all tried that. I remember at my cousin's house one time, we put a hole in a door with a golf ball, and like a straight up hole. And so we're like, all right, the answer to this is obvious. Let's just hang a lovely picture right here. So we just move one from like the living room, and it's like, why is there like a pastoral scene now hung on the bedroom door? I just want people coming to my room to appreciate art.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I guess I'll go ahead and spill the beans on another one. So my mom was visiting her friend, and this was the first time they met, like, period. Like, or first time I met her kids, like, but it was her friend from back in Michigan. They had moved down to Tennessee. It's like reunited, and it feels so good. We're playing around. They're having a great time. They both talking about God and all that stuff in the other room. And I get the bright idea. I see a ceiling fan. I get the bright idea that I'm going to swing on it like Dennis the Menace. Yeah. And I didn't make one revolution at all. I just ripped the ceiling fan just smooth out of the ceiling. Like, it just comes down. Drywall comes down.
Was it on? No.
It wasn't. I'm like, I'm about to catch this. Well, no, it wasn't. I was like, I'm going to catch this.
Yeah. You catch it and swing around.
Like,
I got it.
I'm going to run. Like, I think I was on like a table, and I was going to jump on the table, swing on the fan, spin around. Like, you know what I mean? And come back. And that did not happen. But what did happen was there was a hole in this person's ceiling and a bruise on my backside.
We're just like, Mom, time to go. I feel like we need to do a part 2 on this one because there's a lot here. I feel like we almost need to do one more episode of this.
If y'all want to join in, that'll be this week's
editorial question of the week.
Just keep them coming. That's what we want. More. It's summertime. This is when kids are trying to like burn up fish sticks and stuff. This is when you get into some capers, some mischief.
Too early, too soon,
too soon. Hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast. Tell us something you did as a kid when you were playing where things went kind of sideways and your parents hopefully didn't find out. All right. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Sheppard for joining us today. Make sure to check out their brand new album. Comes out today, wherever you get your music. Also, if you like this show, you can support it by joining Relevant Plus. You get this show ad-free. You also get ad-free reading on the website and a beautifully designed digital magazine and some other stuff. Go check out all the information about Relevant Plus. Plans are as low as $250 a month. You can find out all the info and sign up right there at relevantmagazine.com. All right, on that note, we'll wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Derek Miner.
We'll see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Once like rehab and jail come along, it's not as fun.
Relevant Podcast Network.